The launch of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development is set to begin next year, 2021, like you said, and decade should go through to 2030. International experts met in Paris in 2018 to discuss this, and sadly Nigeria was not represented at that global meeting. And there, the idea of the Ocean Decade is as enshrined in the 2063 agenda of the African Union, to which Nigeria is a member of the African Union. So the Ocean Decade aims to encourage the scientific community, policymakers, governments, and business leaders, and civil society to think beyond business as usual and aspire for real change, whether that be in the level of clean oceans, the environment, and of course scientific change that will affect the lives of its populace, Nigeria being our template. For us here in Nigeria, I've had to look at what the institute that is really concerned with African oceans in Nigeria, and that is the Nigerian Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research in Victoria Island. Now, this institute is centered on activities on ocean science technology, the policy and sustainable development. I've had some interactive sessions with them, but sadly, there's no seminar or public enlightenment for the masses to appreciate what this great institute, Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research, is doing or has done for in relation to the decade of ocean science. However, I'm made to believe that there is a site of the activities on the website which I've visited, which has itemized what they have done, and to me it's not much really. I'm also of the know that we have UNESCO. UNESCO, which is the United Nations Educational, Science and Cultural Organization, also has news in relation to the preparation for the Ocean Decade. But then again, how much of it is made known to the Nigerian citizenry? Very little. Coming down to what happened just early this year, 2020 in January in Nairobi, Kenya, where there was a regional workshop organized by United Nations for the same Oceans Sustainable Decade for African development and littoral states. Nigeria was not represented. I was there under the auspices of WIMAfrica, African Women in Maritime, and I observed that we even had another West African country like Ghana, but our country, Nigeria, was not represented at the 2020 regional workshop organized by United Nations on ocean science and how it could affect the sustainability of the African states. So there's a lot to be done. I believe that whatever it is that the Nigerian Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research has put together, or they are putting together, is not enough. There's a need for an enlightenment program. There's a need for conferences, plenary sessions, ideas from stakeholders to be garnered to enable them come up with a concrete report that will also be exciting to the international body. And we have a representative in United Nations. So we really need to do more. I believe that when that is done, we might be invited, or if we've been invited, we will be confident enough to attend such workshops because we have something to show for it. We have done poorly in that aspect. Happily, we are members of the World Aquaculture Society, WAS. The aquaculture is fish farming. And I see that we also, some Nigerians are members of the board of WAS. But then, what have we done? We have no data. to show that we have been able to do, this is the level of work we've done in terms of fish farming, in terms of unreported and illegal fishing. The ministry. Sadly, we actually do not have a ministry for fisheries. We need to have a separate ministry for that, as is done in Ghana. Because Ghana has a ministry for fisheries, they're able to spend quality time and budget for that, to fund that part of the needs of that country. Nigeria needs to do the same. It's not only Ghana. In other civilized countries, they have ministries for fish. In Angola, they also do have. We don't have that. So it's the ministry that we need to approach to say, why are we lacking in this respect? Post-COVID, sadly, we have this COVID-19 pandemic times, which makes it more difficult than before the COVID-19 era. But then again, technology has come as a form of palliative measure, and we're all doing everything digitally. So we could do the same. There is a current report by the United Nations on the workshop, regional workshop that we had in Nairobi, Kenya. As a matter of fact, this workshop, we had 7 groups, and each of the groups had certain areas for them to work with, for cleaner oceans, for fisheries, and what have you. And the reports of these groups came together as one, even in terms of data collection. So I would recommend that report to the relevant ministry in Nigeria, to the Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research, which is the relevant institute we have in Nigeria, so that they could look at it and emulate the template and begin to go to the relevant departments that there are in the country. We have the Association of Fisheries. We have NIMASA there in terms of piracy and what are the issues that are affecting fishing in our waters. We have the Great Institute in terms of science and technology, and begin to collect the data in line with the report of the regional workshop on UN Decade for Ocean Science and Sustainability in Africa, and bring that to bear. Well, luckily it's 10 years. This is 2020. So we have time. But we shouldn't just sit on an oasis and say, oh, we do have time. It's a decade, isn't it? And we just started. We've got to start now. It's not easy to put data, to collect data. We've got to start now. And the beauty of it, again, is that the world is now going e-commerce. Everything is done digitally. Our children are going through school electronically. The conferences are held virtually. So this is science. So this arm of science now shouldn't be a problem for us when it comes to data collation. And that is what we have to do. We just have to start now, so that when the COVID-19 times are eased off, Nigeria will be seen to participate in the next conference, which is holding in Paris, and showcase what is done so far. Be able to partner with other countries, sit with other countries that are doing very well, how they do it, how they've done it, and then we'll be recognized as such. Because recognition is very important. It's disheartening when you are privileged to attend international conferences relating to issues of ocean decade, and your country, which is seen as a maritime nation, the big brother of Africa, is not represented.